What's good, y'all? It's your guy Bendu, and coming at y'all with a quick hit piece. And I wanted to talk about how the big talk around Washington is that it's progressives fault for why they didn't do good in the down ballot races and everything, the Democratic Party. And it's like, I don't give a shit about the Democratic Party at all, but I just find it weird how they blame progressives for touting popular policies as the reason why they lost. I find that so weird. So like I'm sitting here going through this article. This is by Jacobin. This is on Jacobin magazine, and yeah. So Medicare for all backers won in safe Democratic districts and Trump County alike this year, while its opponents lost in both. Yet centrists are now leading a campaign to blame Medicare for all for the party's devastating down ballot losses this year. They're wrong. The votes were still coming in when the Democratic establishment set the narrative for the 2020 party's debacle. It was all the left's fault for pushing progressive policies like Medicare for all. When voters see the far left that gets all the news media attention, they get scared, said Representative Kurt Schrader, however you say that, member of the conservative Blue Dog Coalition. They're very afraid that this will become a super nanny state and their ability to do things on their own is going to be taken away. This playing footsies with socialism is not going to win over most of America, agreed Representative Stephanie Murphy, co-chair of the Blue Dogs. There's no amount of lipstick that can cover up the fact that these far-left ideas are costing us racists. Representative Jim Clyburn, who is a corrupt piece of shit, by the way, warned that if we are going to run on Medicare for all, defund the police, socialize medicine, we're not going to win the upcoming runoff Senate contest in Georgia. As the Washington Post put it, the party's conservatives had examined the rubble of 2020 and decided the GOP had too successfully tied them to liberal ideas, including Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, and cutting police budgets. Beyond flat assertions by those already hostile to progressive policies, what evidence is there for this charge? Looking at Medicare for all specifically, not a whole lot, it turns out. Medicare for all in Trump country. The case that socialist ideas sunk Democrats in 2020 is undermined by the fact that every single co-sponsor of House Progressive Caucus co-chair Pramila Jayapal's 2019 Medicare for all legislation won re-election this year. The only exceptions being lawmakers who retired, died, gave up their seats, or were unseated in primaries. 7 of those Democratic incumbents were replaced this year by backers of Medicare for all, including the DSA-backed Cori Bush. I don't know what coalition that is, but Cori Bush won this year. I think that's Missouri. Jamal Bowman in New York District 16. While 4 were replaced by Democrats who didn't support it. One of those is Christy Smith, a self-described centrist on issues of finance, business, and economic issues who opposes Medicare for all. With 2% of the votes yet to be counted, Smith is currently trailing her GOP opponent by 0.04 points, probably because you sound just like him when you're talking about economy. And then you go on with your identity politics bullshit, and voters get turned off by that. But I digress. In a district described by the Cook Political Report as evenly split on partisan lines, and which had been carried by her predecessor and Medicare for All co-sponsor Katie Hill by nearly 9 points in 2018. Critics will point out that most of those co-sponsors reside in safe Democratic seats, but in fact, a number 1 re-election in competitive swing districts. After flipping the seat in 2018, Matt Cartwright won re-election this year by 3.4 points in Pennsylvania's 8th district, which had been represented by a Republican for 14 of the last 20 years and has voted for Obama twice before voting for Trump in 2016. He did this despite not just co-sponsoring Medicare for all, but going on Fox to make the case for it. Let me click that. I want to see that. I wonder if it's going to lead us to a YouTube video.
The idea is that everyone gets access to medical care, and you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company, having them give you approval, going through the paperwork, all of the delay that may require. Who of us has not had that situation where you got to wait for approval and the doctor says, well, I don't know if your insurance company is going to cover this? Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
There's the Democratic Senator Kamala Harris touting Medicare for all, kicking off her campaign for the nomination on the Democratic side. Democrat Matt Cartwright serves in Pennsylvania and also on the Appropriations Committee. How you doing, sir? Good morning, and thanks for coming back. Do you support all this? The Medicare for all, the free college, et cetera?
Well, Medicare for All and free college are two completely different programs. I have not got on free college, but Medicare for All I have been on, and let me tell you why. It started with the business community. You know, I was a business owner for 25 years, and you know, you go past 2000 up to 2010, and we saw the healthcare premium rates going up 20 and 30, and 1 year 40%. And you have to look to your employees, you look at them right in the eye and say, I can't give you a raise next year because I had to keep covering your health care. And so it was the business community that came to me, Bill. It was a man named Richard Master, a very successful businessman in eastern Pennsylvania. And he was experiencing the same thing and frustrated by it. And he looked to Medicare and he saw that 3% administrative fee that they charge, and he thought, there's got to be savings there. He looked into it, and do you know he produced a movie? It was a documentary based on the experience of Canada and some other countries, and it's called Fix It. And you can see it on fixithealthcare.com.
We will check that out. I can certainly appreciate the story you're relaying to our audience as well. You know, the price tag has been labeled in the trillions. And you just wonder whether or not you can sell that during a primary campaign to the rest of America. I mean, can that
absolutely
win
right
in 2020?
Oh, yeah, we have to. I mean, it's all about the expense, Bill. And what you have to do is engage in a fair comparison. You know, you say, well, if it's $3.5 trillion a year, but then you have to compare that to all of the health care premiums that every single person and company pays in the United States every year, and you find out that's more than $3.5 trillion. That's why businessmen like Richard Master were interested in this, because they're interested in saving money. In addition to making the healthcare system work better in this country.
Well, it's very interesting. The push towards single payer, you know, we've been there before. We'll see whether or not you can sell it. That's interesting. That would be a significant change in America. Let's see how she does with her arguments. There are others
we're
on the
all about
moderate
making
side
America
who are suggesting that that's not the way to go. Another question for you, just on the border security, because
them on Fox News with Medicare for All, like, you know, anybody with a fucking brain between their head does and could then. But going on Fox to make the case for it. Incidentally, the district is also the home of Scranton, the working class town known as the former home of President-elect Joe Biden, who centered both his primary and general election candidacies on his opposition to the policy. Likewise, after winning a 2018 special election for an open seat in Pennsylvania's 7th district, Susan Wild has now won re-election to the seat for the second time in a district whose Republican tilting voting patterns are nearly identical to Pennsylvania's 8th. Wild won in spite of being on the receiving end of exactly the kinds of GOP attacks that other Democratic supporters for Medicare for All have been subjected to. 3 of the bill's co-sponsors won re-election in Republican-leaning districts in California this year, too. Josh Harder won by nearly 11 points in a Republican district. What is this? Sorry, district that's voted Republican 6 of the last 10 years. Mike Levin. Look, you're going to see a repeat of this because these policies are popular, and when you actually explain to people, you know, what it entails, they're not freaked out about it. But when you do when you do this bullshit where you like, how do you feel about government run healthcare? Like, people do get scared by that because you know, you can make the argument about small government, definitely, and I'm willing to hear you out on that. You know, but I don't think the issue is small versus big government. I think the issue is corrupt government. And, you know, making the government smaller and taking away its role isn't going to help. It's going to give those people, the corrupt motherfuckers who corrupt our politicians, even more power. They don't have to go through the politicians now. They could just do what they want. Now, you know, to all of my libertarian listeners, if you're listening to me, you know, I want to hear you guys' stuff. So I'll tell you to hop in the comments. This is more, you know, this page is also for me to learn as well. I'm not just trying to dictate to you guys like, oh, what I say is law. Like, I'm open to hearing a counter opinion. So, but just in my mind, that's how I feel. And I feel like that's how most Americans would feel if they understood, you know, and took the time out to as well. However, but look, bottom line is, like, these policies are popular. Medicare for All, Green New Deal, even though, you know, I'm going to make a video about Green New Deal soon because I've kind of changed my tune on that. I can't lie. I cannot lie. I've changed my tune a lot on Green New Deal, but that's going to be something y'all going to see soon. Yeah, like, $15 minimum wage. Like red Florida that just voted for Donald Trump voted in $15 minimum wage on a ballot, direct ballot measure. So it's like people want these policies when they're not explained to them as socialism. And that's like, I make the argument to my friends and everything that I talk to that are more conservative leaning and everything. I just feel like America's political compass is off because you have like, and that's partially, that's because of both sides of the aisle. Like you got, people on the left that make out every Republican to be like, a right wing fucking like Nazi basically, and then people on the right make every left wing person to be a fucking commie. Like Donald Trump's campaign was Joe Biden is a fucking communist Marxist who's fucking like basically just like like the bullshit he was saying. Then Bernie Sanders is like the second coming of Stalin and shit. Like it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. AOC is going to come and round you up in the halls of socialized medicine. It's ridiculous because it's like literally the shit that people on that on the left, the progressives are arguing for, are just like shit that the rest of the world has had for decades. And it's like, their systems aren't perfect, but literally every study has shown that their systems are better than ours. So it's like I just don't get how you can look at the data and not understand. But again, make the argument to me, make the case to me, make me understand. Maybe I'm missing something, like I said. But so I feel like it is credited to how broken America's political compass is, and the reason why I say that is because I feel like we've been too propagandized. Like before I got into politics, like I am now, I used to think the same shit. That, like socialism and communism was evil, inherently evil, and everything, and capitalism, or what I in my mind the way I figured capitalism worked and shit like that. That's the way shit needs to operate and everything. But it's like one, just on not I wouldn't say a moral standpoint, but just like this hyper consumption that we exist in, the hyper consumptuous version of capitalism that we exist in just isn't like feasible. Like the way we live life is not feasible. And I get that, we're stuck, we've done this shit for decades, but it's like, man, shit needs to change. Like, we're like America's is a failed state and is getting way worse. We have food lines in America again. Food fucking lines in America. Like literally in Texas, there was this video I saw where they were talking about, let me pull it up. Shit was crazy, man. Like they said they served 25,000 people and gave away over like 650 pounds of food, some 650,000 pounds of food, something like that. Yeah, it was on CBS. Shit is in fucking insane, man. This shit is crazy. Thousands in Texas lined up in cars to receive food before Thanksgiving, man. Thousands of people lined up in their cars in Dallas on Saturday to receive food from the North Texas Bank ahead of Thanksgiving. More than 6,000 cars and about 25,000 people were served by volunteers and staff at the food bank during the around 5-hour event. The food bank distributed 600,000 pounds of food, including 7,280 turkeys to families during the drive-through mobile pantry. That's crazy, man. Look at that. Look at that. We have food lines in America again, folks. So it's like, people that think, people are lazy, that's just, in my mind, that's ridiculous, bro. Americans are very hard workers. We're the hardest workers on the world. We like literally the data shows we work the most in the world and get the least for our work. So literally people work less around the world and earn more than us. So it's like shit needs to change, man. And it's like, people see just these common sense policies, man. And then it's like it's another data point that I've read where it was talking about like how if you were to adjust the minimum wage to inflation and like the bottom line and profits that corporations have received and shit like that, and you would adjust minimum wage to that inflation and those profits, the minimum wage would be like $22 an hour, something like that, 23. And it's like the fact like people can't afford shit anymore, man. They can't afford to get houses. Like we have a fucking eviction crisis looming and nobody's answering that. Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi are doing this political posturing shit. Donald Trump is fucking basically going through this lame duck phase because he lost. And like I was reading a report, I'm going to do a video about it, that he was trying to start like bomb Iran. Like, bro, nigga, you have food lines in the country and you're talking about trying to bomb Iran. So, but again, y'all know I say it all the time. Government is not going to save us, man. And I know to the people are probably pulling their hair out like, well, that's why we say small government. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is motherfuckers during the Great Depression era got out in the streets, bro. They got out in the streets and protested for what they wanted and what they needed and pushed this government to work for us and not for. And yeah, to get this government to work for us and not the richest motherfuckers in the country and corporations. But because the Republicans right now are talking full throated, austerity, and the Democrats believe in the same thing. You feel me? They just use Republicans as the cover, which is why you have which is why you have John Kasich, running around talking about, a GOP Senate is good for Biden because it's going to make him come to the center and deal with the center and the Americans that don't believe in a radical left. Like giving people single payer health care like the rest of the fucking world has, the rest of the developed world has, and but it's going to take direct action. It's going to take us being in the streets. It's going to take us pressuring them. And that's what it is, man. I know we have our differences, but I feel like everybody can agree that a lot of the people in power are evil, even like for everything from the government to the people in charge of these corporations. I usually don't like to talk about like morality stuff here, but to me, in my mind, they've crossed the line, man. And I like to stay, when it comes to politics, I like to stay policy driven. I like to stay logic driven. I like to stay facts driven. And it's like, but I feel like with that Epstein shit, man, just learning about the web of deceit and lies and just evil shit all in there from everybody from government to fucking banking, from the financial sector, the big tech sector, everywhere, man, everywhere. Him and his wife, his bitch, whatever, Ghislaine Match, what the fuck her name is. Man, they need to be drawn and fucking quartered. But yeah, so I'm going to stop ranting, and I'm going to go ahead and close the video out here. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Emphasis on the comments. And let me know, like, if you guys are, like, libertarians, if I have any libertarians watching, any economic conservatives watching, you're welcome here. You feel me? Like, talk to me. I'm not going to come at you. I want to hear your ideas. That was the whole point of me starting this page, is to hear everybody's ideas. And it's like, I may disagree with you in the end of it, but because I haven't, like, a lot of the libertarian stuff I've been exposed to is videos I've watched, or people just, like, literally regurgitating like different people's talking points. Like, I want fresh ideas, you feel me? Fresh ideas or concise ideas. Even if you are repeating what somebody said, like a lot of us do that. Like, there's certain things that, I've heard from other people that I repeat, or not repeat, but that I say, I do my own research on it and everything, but that I say is as well, especially if it's something that I agree with and it makes sense, in your brain. That's what human beings do. But I want to hear you guys' ideas. Even if you have a differing opinion than me, you're welcome here to share that idea. So, hop in the comments, let me know. Go to the Twitter page, let me know there. The Facebook page, the Instagram page. Even if you just want to call me an idiot, like many of you do on this page. So, again, thanks for tuning in, and peace. Be easy.